Today, we are bringing you part 2 of the 4-3-1-2 Ultimate Formation Guide as we're going to go ahead and talk about custom tactics. Now, depth. At the minute, the constant question I keep getting asked is 7 depth auto offside trap, 7 depth auto offside trap. It's like we've just discovered gold for the first time. I don't run it purely because I find it so unorganized. How are we all doing then, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. I'm the FIFA Analyst. Today, we are going to be discussing custom tactics in the 4-3-1-2, answering what is the best custom tactics for this formation. If you did miss part 1, this is part 2 of a 5-part series. We are covering absolutely everything on the 4-3-1-2. The first part was just explaining how the formation works, what to look for, and so on. This part is about custom tactics, and then the next video will be about how to attack, how to defend, and then a live walkthrough. So we've got absolutely everything. We're going to do this with all of the top tier formations on FIFA 21 right now. If you want any of your sneak code FIFA Analyst at checkout, the new flavor has just launched, which is the Raspberry Lemonade. So I'll be giving that a go myself later on. Now, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Ignore the Lacroix in left centre-back. It was Koundé there, but I've no longer got Koundé. I'm not using this team at the minute, but this has got my 4-3-1-2 setup on it. You would have seen the other day with regards to why the 4-3-1-2 is strong, how it works, and all of that sort of good stuff. So I'm not really going to go over that too much. We're just going to go ahead and talk about the tactics and maybe what you want to run and why you want to run it in this particular formation, all right? So pay close attention, jot some notes down if you want to. First of all, let's talk about the defensive style, okay? Now, this is all dependent on how you want to play this formation. If you watch part 1, you're going to know roughly whether you want it to be a quick counter-attack, whether you want it to be really aggressive, whether you want to be possession-based, tick-attacker. However you kind of want to play this formation, it can suit almost anyone because it has obviously lots of men in the middle, but it also has a lot of room out on the wing with the fullbacks on the overlap, which is a key factor in this formation. So you look at this. I run press on possession loss. I like to be aggressive if I lose the ball and try and win the ball back. You might be sat there and going, Analyst, I keep getting done on the counter attack, the through balls. It's really strong. I can't use this formation because of that reason. What can I do to fix it? You don't have to run press on possession loss. You can run balance. You can press on heavy touch, whichever one you feel is kind of suitable to you and your playstyle. If you don't feel comfortable with right stick switching, you don't feel comfortable with being able to press and be aggressive, balance will probably be your best friend. One thing you've got to bear in mind then, though, is trying to win the ball back can be very, very difficult. So if an opponent is, say, 3-1 up in the 60th minute and you don't have a form of pressing other than team press on the D-pad, it's going to be very difficult for you to win the ball back because everyone's so narrow. They can just use the wing. Your fullbacks then would be pushed up, out of position, trying to press. You get done in behind down the wing. So really do take it into account. What I'd recommend is if you do run balanced, which is fine, if you are losing a game, then I would change it to press on possession loss. Running press on possession loss from minute 1 is great. It is aggressive, but obviously it does lead to you sometimes conceding goals when maybe you could have just had it on balance instead. So you take your preference on how good of a right stick switcher are you, how good are you at tracking through balls, defending, and all of that sort of stuff. I don't really run press on heavy touch that often, purely because I find it I don't think it's very productive. I just feel like it's very hit and miss, right? Sometimes it presses, sometimes it doesn't. The game wants to know when it's a heavy touch. I don't really like that. I don't run drop back and constant pressure. For me, is only used when I'm 3-0 down, 70th minute or something like that. Now, the width, this is the defensive width. Where do you want your defenders and majority of your team to be when defending? I run quite a narrow width purely because I'm willing to allow the opponent to have room out on the wing, okay? Room out on the wing isn't as big of a threat to me as him overloading through the middle, especially when 4-3-1-2 and 4-1-2-1-2 narrow are quite popular at the minute. So there is a lot of men in there. So having that right back and left back tuck in just a little bit more, you can just see the example on the screen next to me. If I have it like that, the gap gets bigger between the defenders, right, and the midfield, and we don't want that. So having that narrow width works really, really well for me. However, if you say run for width and you think, I am getting done down the line, then maybe go to 5. Anything more than that, you are really allowing yourself to be done by 3 balls through the middle, which makes it very, very easy for the opponent. So get more men in the middle, allow him to have the ball out on the wide, and you can use your fullbacks to defend the width. It's a lot easier for you to defend the ball out on the wing than it is allowing 3 balls through the middle of the pitch. Ideally, we want to push the ball out to the wing. in this formation. Now, depth. At the minute, the constant question I keep getting asked is 7 depth auto offside trap, 7 depth auto offside trap. It's like we've just discovered gold for the first time. I don't run it purely because I find it so unorganized. Is that the right word? Yeah. To me, it just doesn't work, right? De-organized, I think it is actually. It doesn't work. I feel for me that, yes, they do this auto offside trap, which is a pathetic way of offside trapping. Like, offside trap should work the way it did back on FIFA 18, but that's a topic for another day. It doesn't do it in the right way that I would personally want it to do. Like, the centre-backs push up, and then the right-back goes, oh, sorry, mate, I was daydreaming there, and they don't push up together all the time. So I'm not a massive fan of it. It's not under my control. I would prefer to do down on the D-pad and offside trap as and when I want. So I run 5 depth. Just nice and neutral, nice and balanced, nothing too deep, nothing too high. Works really, really well for me. Key thing to remember with the depth. Depth is only taken into account when the opponent has the ball. When you have the ball, doesn't matter whether you run 10 depth or 1 depth, your team will sit on the halfway line, okay? So regardless, if you think I'm getting done in behind on the counter with the through balls, changing your depth won't actually do anything for you. It's the ability to stop that through ball either coming through altogether or tracking the through ball with your centre-backs. So I hope that makes perfect sense. Offensive style. What offensive style should we run in the 4-3-1-2? Well, as always, with all of this, it is personal preference. But I find this year, as a whole, attacking AI is pretty useless. They don't move. So if you run balanced, I used to like balance, but you just don't really get enough going. I like triggering runs with LB. That's really good in this formation with the L1, sending the guys on a run. Long ball, though, will just give you that ability for that striker to make that run in behind. The centre mid to make that run. Whoever it may be, they give you options. Long ball is very different to fast build-up. Long ball is encouraging that ball in behind for the through ball should it arise. Fast build-up is telling your defence and your midfield and your attackers all push up together and quicker and as a unit. Be quick, right? You might send the striker on a run with long ball. Your centre mid might dawdle way up in long ball. But on fast build up, they're all just going to push up the pitch to get into the final third as quick as they possibly can. Possession. If you're running a possession style based game playing 4-3-1-2, I'd probably run balanced over possession. Possession, people come short. The 4-3-1-2 is really good at the balls in behind. It does kind of do counterproductive, really, so I wouldn't particularly run that. I run long ball, as I said, that's what I like. Now, for my width, again, it is a narrow formation predominantly. We want our midfielders, our strikers, to stay narrow. We want to cluster through the middle. If you come up against a 4-2-3-1, another 4-3-1-2, we want to overload through the middle, and that will work really well, especially against something like the 4-4-2 or maybe even a 5 at the back. Having that narrow width allows you to do that. Don't worry, though, because you've got the width available from the fullbacks. They will hug their left back and right back and give you those options going forward, allowing you to spread the play out wide if you want to, if you like the look of that attack. Players in box, I've varied with this. I've gone all the way to 8. At the minute, I'm set on 6. That works well for me. You want your left centre mid, your right centre mid to be encouraged to get into the box, and this allows them to do it. It allows them to go forward, be aggressive, and make their way into the opponent's box and try and get those goals running in on the edge of the box. All right. So personal preference, again, I wouldn't have it too low unless you are playing a possession style based gameplay, but having it at a fairly neutral one works really, really well. So obviously I wouldn't have the coin here. I'd have Koundé. That's how I was having this team lined up when I was using the 4-3-1-2 last week. How do I have the strikers? Getting behind on both of them because I was using it as a really quick and direct through ball, down the wing, through the middle. If I can get in behind, that's what I want to try and emulate, okay? Now, if you are sat here and you are noticing your striker is making a run on the 18-yard box in behind when there's no through ball opportunity because they don't work this year, take it off getting behind and put it on balanced. If you want to run one on getting behind, one on balance, that can work really well because they can play off the other, have the quicker player on getting behind. So let's say if you had, I don't know, Mbappe and let's say you had Coutinho up front, you'd have Mbappe on getting behind and Coutinho just on balance, and that will work well for you. You can have stay forward if you really want to hit on the counter. Again, that comes down to personal preference. I have my cam on stay forward. There is a reason for this. In the 4-3-1-2 and the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, if you run the cam on balanced, a lot of the times they will swap with the right centre mid or left centre mid. It's really frustrating. It's so annoying. Having them on stay forward reduces that from happening as much. So do that should you wish to. For my left CM and my right CM, I have them on balance and cover centre. You can run get into the box across if you wanted to. However, I found that if I did that, they were making some runs and leaving the gap in the middle of the pitch a little bit too open. So I want them to make the decision on that front when they think it is right. I've got Fekir and Vazquez. They're very capable of making the decision for themselves. When should I do it? If you've maybe got not as a high level player, someone that's not as good, and you want to encourage them to get into the box more, use get into the box across to do that. I do, however, kind of controversial, have my Marcelo, which is my CDM, on stay back while attacking, cover centre, but get into the box across. You might go, why is that? To be honest, there wasn't a specific reason for it, but what I found is that he is on stay back while attacking, but it just pushes him up a little bit more. So if I lose the ball, the press on possession loss works really, really well to be able to, kind of box him in and make it really difficult for him to get out. If they do beat the press, though, I do only have my 2 centre-backs back. Very risky, probably even stay back while attacking cover centre if you don't feel confident with that. Now, the key factor, you have to have balanced fullbacks. You don't have to. You can run stay back while attacking and trigger the runs yourself. But most people don't do that. They forget. Having the balanced fullbacks means that you will see the width available from them and you can then lay the ball to them, right? You are going to be open at the back and it is a risky tactic and it is a risky formation, but you will have plenty of options going forward. And the aim here is to outscore the opponent, not to not concede goals. We just want to outscore them. If we win 6-5, brilliant. It's not bothered about, conceding as little as possible. You're not going to do that in this formation. Personal preference, whether you want to run overlap. I have them on balance purely because sometimes they make runs in through the middle instead of just completely out on the wing play as well. But it works really, really well for me. And then just balanced, stay back attacking on the centre backs. Nothing changed on there. If you've got a keeper that's adequate enough, feel free to run. Feel free to run. Sweep a keeper, comes to crosses, have them nice and aggressive and coming out on the edge of the box. Now, that's what I run as my go-to if I was playing the 4-3-1-2 from the start, right? It's aggressive, but it works really, really well. If you want to have 2 variants, one that's not as aggressive, stay back while attacking on the fullbacks and balance on the press, feel free. If you want to have one like this, it's aggressive, have the other tactic, balance on the fullbacks, press on possession loss, and see how you find it. But this formation can work really, really well. Really popular at the minute, really prominent as well. You have plenty of options, you have plenty of runners. Don't be afraid to mix up the play style. These one-touch passes, first-time pass, release the ball, through balls, absolutely everything. It offers you a wide variety, so please do use it to your advantage. I spoke about, in the first part, what sort of players you want in each position. So again, make sure you take a look at that if you are interested. Stay tuned for the next part. We've got how to attack, how to defend, and then a live walkthrough to cover the remaining 3 videos in the 5 part of this series. So I hope this has helped. Please do let me know if you have any questions down below in the comment section. As always, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you all very much for watching. Catch you in the next video. Bye bye.